Last week I introduced the concept of ideas, having both an origin and a direction. This is perhaps most easily demonstrable with the concept of good and evil, although that is a discussion for another time. What do we mean when we call something good? Today I'd like to pose a response to that question. Just as an aside, this video is thoroughly immersed in the Christian worldview and subsequent ethical considerations, flow forth from the basic understandings that the Church has claimed universally throughout human history. What we call good is really the state within which an entity is operating most closely aligned with its telos, or purpose. That's a mouthful. What do I mean? Well, when is a chair a good chair? When it operates the way it's supposed to. When is a surgeon a good surgeon? When he operates the way he is supposed to. When is a human a good human? When he operates the way he is supposed to, when he operates in line with his design. This brings us to an immediate and obvious question. How do we define the telos, purpose, of a given entity? We must first look to the origin of that entity, to its creator, to determine what it was made for. For human beings, this creator is the Most High God. Only he has authority to make claims regarding the intent behind our creation, and only he can make clear to what end we are pointing. This is an important distinction when discussing science versus faith. Science is important and can do many things, but one thing it cannot do is tell us why. We can look at fossil records or stars in the sky and figure out a great many things, but we cannot determine what each telos is from mere observation. Only the Creator has the authority to tell us why things exist. The good news, the gospel, is that He has. We exist to reflect, or image, and glorify our Creator. For humans, actions which align us most closely to that end goal are actions that can be called good. Actions which pull us away, distract from, or otherwise compromise that goal are evil. This will be a tough pill to swallow for many, but truth tends to be difficult to hear. The bad news is that we all fail to properly align ourselves with good rather often. We are all fallen, sinful beings who, for the time being, are imperfectly aligned with the highest good. We are out of sync with our Creator. This disparity forms the basis for the necessity of Christ's intervention. We are a failed experiment, and none of us are capable of rectifying that failure on our own. Someone else had to, someone with standing and authority to do so. So if the distinction between good and evil for humans is the distinction between aligning ourselves with our telos or not, then we can begin to apply this principle to determine the morality of various actions. Does this specific action align with God's intent for me? Well, admittedly, we run into another roadblock here. How does one determine God's creative intent for humans, both broadly and specifically? This is yet another video for another day, as it begins to touch on the origins of Christian morality and deontological ethical frameworks. For now, good actions constitute aligning oneself with one's origin and purpose. Our origin and purpose are both intimately connected to our Creator. Therefore, our Creator is the only one with authority to make claims regarding our good, or lack thereof. This brings up a related idea, an interesting one. Doing good is really acting in the way we were always meant to. It means being the kind of thing that we are always supposed to be. Fulfilling our potential to the best of our ability is actually the same thing as doing good. When thought of this way, the idea of good expands from a narrow, oversimplified, trolley problem decision-making into a full, holistic, potential-fulfilling way of life. Each individual decision becomes not an end in and of itself, but rather an opportunity to act in full accordance with one's potential. Will this action push me towards or away from that which I was made for, from that which God designed me to be? How do I go about cultivating a lifestyle that most properly aligns myself with the highest things that God is moving me towards. The interesting thing about this discussion is that it also reforms our understanding of biblical commands, such as love your neighbor and love your enemies. Follow me here. If good is defined according to a harmony between action, purpose, and potential, then love is seeking that which harmonizes one's action, purpose, and potential. In other words, seeking good. And loving others involves pursuing that which harmonizes their actions, purpose, and potential. This means that both love of self and love of others looks significantly different than what we imagine it does in today's world. Our primary concern, then, is not with their hedonistic pursuit of pleasure or preference. If love is our genuine goal, as commanded by Christ himself, then our primary concern must be how we can help others more properly harmonize their actions with their purpose and their potential. Our love for others is, oddly enough, incumbent upon our ability to push back or fight against their sinful desire to prioritize the self over God, just as our love of self is incumbent upon our ability to push back against our own selfish desires. This is a scary realization, because it requires far more involvement and combat from us than our current cultural milieu would have us believe. Just to be clear, how we go about this is important. I use a lot of warrior symbolism as a matter of preference, but violence is not the solution most of the time. Edge cases exist, of course. That being said, an illustration may be of benefit here. Imagine I were a bystander. A bystander observing a man about to do something incredibly evil to a woman. Whatever it is, take your pick. Specific doesn't matter here. What would the good thing be to do? Many theologians have argued in the past, and I think they're right, that the best thing I could do in that moment is everything possible, including killing him if necessary, to prevent him from committing that sin. Prudence and wisdom are obviously necessary in such a situation, and I'm not saying just kill somebody if they're about to do something bad. But the idea is that preventing him from going through with it, even if he loses his life, is actually better overall, not just because it prevents his victim from experiencing some trauma, but it's actually better overall for the perpetrator, for him. Quote, "The best good you can give them is the good of stopping them from committing this terrible sin." This is an extreme example, but it draws out an important principle. When our enemies aim to do evil things to others, the best way to love them is to stop them. Preventing others from doing evil things is actually the most loving thing to do. Unfortunately, we've forgotten this as a society, and I think it's far past time we remember. As always, thanks for listening. Let me know what you think.